Welcome back to I Don't Do That, a podcast with me, Ocho. This is where we talk to people about things that they don't do, and hopefully in the end we all understand each other better. Enjoy. Na 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 na, yeah, no, I don't do that, no, I don't do that. You know it's alright, you can ask, but I don't do that, no, I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that. Episode 2. You want to snap our fingers?
Yeah, I guess we can. Yeah.
Episode 2 is I Don't Clap My Hands. We're talking with David, who does not clap their hands. David is in their mid-30s. They work for a college in the upper Midwestern United States. They identify themselves as black and non-binary. David, it is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm ready to talk about this. So, I don't clap?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the long and short of it.
What is it? Really what does that mean?
So, like, I just basically am not super into it, and so I really just don't. And I'll still like give applause, like if a performance is really worth it, but I usually default to the snapping kind of thing that I guess some people are into.
So you snap your fingers.
Yeah. But yeah, clapping, I'm just like, I hate it. I'm not really into it. Not like a strong hate, but like I'm opposed to it, and I'd rather that didn't happen.
What is it about it? Is it the sound, or is it the tactile sensation, or what?
I think it is, yeah, just like the tactile sensation of like ramming your hands together, just like it at like a high velocity. It's just like why are we doing that? And like it was definitely something like as
like
a kid.
Like it stings?
Yeah, to some degree.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
And like if I'm actually going to get a sound, then it's just like, yeah, you're going to be doing like one consistent point of damage to your hands at all times, like a D&D reference kind of situation.
Sure,
like,
sure.
Yeah, you're doing some small like damage to your hands to basically say, yeah, I'm going to do this over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just like there are other ways to like show like, hey, I really enjoyed your performance. And so I probably default to one of those.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever find that you are masochistic in any way, or are you more just into trying to feel good and bolster yourself and experience pleasure? And
I don't know. Like, and I think that there are like other things. Like, I'm not opposed to like spicy foods. I like sour candy. I love sour candy, and it gets to the point where like Tasha's like, "This is so absurd. Like, why do you even like this?"
Right.
And so like, I think that there are definitely things where it's like, yeah, I can recognize like this is an unpleasant experience, but I'm open to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think there are other ways where I'm like, this isn't really doing anything for me, and I hate it. Right. So I'm gonna be done with it for the most part.
Yeah. So it isn't just that one point of damage, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, okay, so one of the things that, I was mentioning, and it's like, I grew up in the church, and specifically like a fairly decent sized like black church with like one hell of a choir program, which is where I learned how to sing. And like all of the songs that they do in there, there's like a typical, like you're clapping on the, 2/4 beat pretty much consistently throughout the entirety of the song. And with our church that I grew up in, as a kid, where I was baptized and all that good stuff, like they were known during the time that I went there for their choir program. And so it wouldn't just be like one or two songs. It would be like whole concerts,
Yeah.
And so like you're there for like an hour and a half. My grandmother was taught Sunday school. So like it wasn't just like oh yeah, you're there for choir practice. You're there for the actual performance itself. You get there at like 6 a.m. for, Bible study. And then you're like serving food afterwards and things of that nature. So like church was an all day event.
Yep.
And a large portion of that was just like, all right, you're at a choir performance. Here's 3 hours consecutively of just clapping on the 2s and the 4s. And so I was just like, I'm so over this.
Yeah.
And so it was like so repetitive. And I was just like, oh my God, like.
Maybe it's just being made to do it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's probably more so that. And then it was just like,
no one ever made you eat Sour Patch Kids for 3 hours.
Really.
And if they did that, you probably wouldn't want to do that either.
Yeah. I will say, like, on the sour candy situation, the sour Skittles are terrible.
Yeah.
And, like, they're pretty sour. But like they're terrible because like they've got that like hard crystalline sugar on it that just like destroys the roof of your mouth.
Oh.
It's not. Avoid those.
It tears up your palate.
Yeah, it's
this
not
program
ideal.
is not brought to you by Skittles. I'm just going to say that. No.
Well, I like other Skittles.
Anyway, let's get back to the clapping though.
Right? Yeah, I'm not into it. And
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's weird. It like bled over into like just day-to-day life too, you know. Cuz it definitely started as like an aversion to like the mandatory like rhythmic clapping that just goes along with these marathon church sessions.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, you know what? Actually, I just don't like it across the board. You know? And I think like when I was coming up, I ended up going to a couple of like poetry slams or whatever, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna do the snapping thing instead."
Sure.
Like, and like rhythmically, sonically, or whatever, like the sound of like 100 people in a room snapping is so much like better than like an applause.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's like it's a softer kind of sound.
Yeah, it's not nearly as abrasive. It's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. I feel like you can definitely get like, I've been in places where there's like been an overwhelming applause where I'm just like, yo, I'm low key uncomfortable being in this space.
Yeah.
And like, I just have never experienced that when it's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do the snap thing to like show support. Like, let's do it that way instead.
Yeah.
And I think in places where like that's the culture and that's like just the vibe, it's also a lot friendlier to like people who are like apt to get overwhelmed for various reasons.
Yeah, I certainly am too. Like if I'm in a big, even if it's not big, honestly, sometimes if it's small is the thing. But if it's like a very like reflective space with the sound and just like all these walls and a lot of noise just bouncing around the room, that can really stress me out. Like a lot of the venues that we play at. But I gotta ask because related to that, because like, okay, so I'm with you and you're playing hand drums and you're literally like slapping this thing with your hand to make noise. You're not slapping them together.
Right. No, it's
and
the
you're
same
doing it on 2 and 4.
Yeah. No, and it's definitely like a lot of the same things, but I think like one is just like, oh yeah, like I think with like the church situation, you're in the audience, so like you're not actually a part of the musical performance. You just happen to also be clapping. And like I get the crowd participation to some degree, and like I thrive on that when I'm actually on stage. So like it makes sense, and I appreciate it when it's happening, but at the same time, like being a part of that crowd participation in that way is not really my thing. But yeah, the hand drum, it's not the worst thing in the world. Now, my hands are pretty darned raw at the end of that though. And so I am sitting here and I'm like, this sucks, and I can't quite put my wedding rings back on.
Yeah.
For probably about half an hour after we play or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like, that's really the extent of it. And so like, I'm definitely doing a lot more damage to my hands playing hand drum than I would be just like applauding for 5 seconds after a show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely find the applause a lot more like detestable than playing hand drum for 3 hours. Even if I am literally doing way more damage playing hand drums.
Well, it sounds like that maybe a sacrifice that you make for the reward.
Right. And I mean, like, I think, like, you know, we've talked about it before, but like playing music on a stage isn't, for me, like a vanity project. To some degree it is. Like, it's cool, you know? But like, I enjoy being a part of, you know, the band because, you know, we are playing music together. And so I know we mentioned it, but like, even if it's a horrible audience, you know, there's still the four of us on stage playing together. And if, you know, getting to be a part of that and being able to create with that group of people means I have to do a little bit of damage to my hands. Like, 100% every day I'll make that trade. Not even a question.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really getting the same camaraderie out of being a part of a crowd and just like applauding at the end of a performance.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not doing that for the fellow people of the audience in the same way that I'm like slapping my hand against the drum for the fellow people on the stage with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of people at church who get more out of it. That's their equivalent, maybe, of like that they're willing to sacrifice that and feel this kind of burn and whatnot. And maybe they come to enjoy it. I don't know. I was raised in a church where we didn't do that, so I don't really know what that would be like. I sort of think, like, speculating that your kind of church would be more fun, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen like Blues Brothers, like take the cartwheels and the aisles out, and you've pretty much got there, especially the church that we grew up in, because like their music program was what they were known for, and so they did a fantastic job of it, and so like there was definitely a lot more celebration.
So, if you're not clapping, is it ever conspicuous? I mean, especially at church, do people expect you to be doing this and you're not?
Yeah, it super would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, it 100% is. And I think that's like the issue. And like if I'm at, church with my mom or something like that, then it's just like, look, I would much rather suffer the situation of actually clapping as opposed to like just being like, yo, you're just not into it. Like this is Jesus we're talking about, right? And it's like you're just not into it. You're not interested in any of this. And I'm like, no, I'm interested in the Jesus part. I just would rather not clap.
Yeah.
And then I have to have a conversation in the middle of church service.
Do you know what he did for you, David?
Right. The least you could do. And I'm like, sure. I mean, I don't want to have that conversation in the middle of a church service with like 200 people. Like,
yeah,
it's a whole thing.
That's fair. So you just do it anyway.
Yeah, I just suffer through.
So if
this sucks.
Yeah, if it's gonna lead to problems, you'll just clap, even if you don't want to. Sometimes we do things we don't want to.
Basically,
yeah. That makes sense. I feel like I understand it pretty well, like the origin and the physical experience. And there are exceptions.
Sure.
And that makes it meaningful to sacrifice and to actually do something that you ordinarily don't take pleasure in doing. Are you ever snapping your fingers when other people are clapping and like that makes up for the fact that you're not clapping? Or
I like to think so, but I've never actually like taken a poll of like people in like a general space.
Yeah.
Cause like, I'm definitely probably snapping if like everyone else is applauding. And I'm hoping at that point that everyone is so focused on like the performance that is just taking place that like nobody's seeing me over here just being like, all right, let's do this. Like, here we go. Maybe get the double hand action.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming people are so focused ahead of them that they're not being like, what's this guy doing?
Right.
Here's hoping. But there might be one or two people that are like, what's happening there?
Yeah.
I doubt it, though.
Yeah. You're just, like, you don't really know. Well, I don't know how you would unless someone told you or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not like I can, like, snap super loud.
Right.
And so, like, it's not like someone's going to hear my snapping and be like, that's not a clap. Yeah. What's happening there? You
want to snap our fingers?
Yeah, I guess we can. Yeah.
Cool.
Like, that's not going to like drown out a clap. It just isn't. So like.
Yeah, there's differences too, because I notice, having been performing on stage for some decades, that in this time and place, that applause is harder to get than it used to be. It used to be like that I'd be at a coffee shop and I'd play acoustic guitar and people would be very quiet. And then like when I was done playing a song, sort of regardless of what happened, people would clap.
Yeah.
They might not even look up or whatever. They might be on their laptop or reading a book or like having a conversation or whatever. And they would still keep talking, but they would clap, Okay. So like, now, when I'm at a performance, sometimes it's on me to be the one to be the only one clapping, or the one to start it. To be like, yo, this is a norm, and we're following this, and I'm just going to be out front and do it.
Sure.
Kind of don't care if you join me, but I'm going to
hoping
because
that you do. Yeah.
I hope you do, and I believe in this. And I'm making a statement, and I clap loudly.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to clap as loud as I can, but I have a good technique that makes a sound. It isn't like a quiet, polite thing where I'm not trying to let anyone know that I'm clapping. I'm clapping when I'm clapping. So I wonder, do you have anything? Where do you stand on that? Would you be one to initiate some applause or no?
Probably not.
Okay.
If for no other reason than I'm like, it's, in that case, I guess I'm probably like in the audience. If I'm on the stage, then like.
Yeah, I'm talking about in the audience.
But like in an audience, probably not.
No.
Like, I think it's cool and like very cinematic to like be the slow clap that starts like the round of applause that actually happens. And like there is still a small part of me that's like, I want to be that person, and then someone always beats me to it.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh God, you over there, you're an early clapper, and like,
yeah.
And if I'm not going to get that, then I'm probably just not going to clap at all.
Yeah. You need to have the payoff.
Right. Like if I can't be, like it's just the movie everything. Like every time something like climactic has happened.
If it's silent and no one's clapping, are you probably just not going to then?
Oh, probably not.
Probably not.
No.
Even if you really kind of enjoy what's going on, or
I might like snap still though.
Sure.
But I don't think anyone's going to hear that, and you're not going to.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to start the.
They might. I mean, if it's quiet, if you're in a quiet room and like.
It might work out, and honestly, I can't say I've ever been in like that exact situation. Yeah. But I have noticed like what you're talking about is like a trend of like. People just don't seem to be engaged in the same way, and I think that that's also an unfortunate thing too. So like, maybe we fixed that, but I don't really know how to do that. Maybe your way is the best way. Yeah. It's just like, all right, you know what? Like, come on, we know how to do this. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of in a vacuum as well in a lot of that stuff because like I play open mic nights, which everyone there is pretty much supportive. Because like you're not gonna have a second open mic night if everyone there's just being a bud, and then the second week no one shows up because everyone was really just terrible. Yeah. So like I think that audience is like slightly different. And then like my only other experience like playing music is really with you in a pretty well established band. Yeah. And so like that's probably like the easiest atmosphere to kind of come up. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know, everything seems pretty chill. Like most of the time when we play, like I think our audiences are pretty into it. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Especially like New Ulm and stuff like that. I comment on New Ulm all the time. They're fantastic.
Yeah, it's there is a thing too that probably I want more attention. And I also like as a front man, I feel like I am trying to get it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and it's fair because I think my personality and like my attitude towards this changes because like I sing a couple of songs in our sets, and I think if I'm singing and like am stepping into the role of front person, oh yeah, whole different vibe. Like now I'm like, no, give me. Whereas if I'm like on drum, then it's like, oh, well, I'm back here. It's cool. I'm a part of the ensemble. Let's make it happen. Yeah. And like, there's definitely a portion of me that's like, oh man, I'm singing these two songs. I'm gonna just stay here. This is fantastic.
Yeah. It seems like a higher level of excitement. I guess. Yeah, because I've definitely been a drummer too, and pretty laid back. Like, especially. You're in the back of the stage and you're behind something big,
I'm usually like, obstructed by something or another.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a drum kit, you're in the back of the stage behind a bunch of furniture, sitting down. Yeah. Like you don't feel like the audience like you do if you're up front. You can smell people's breath and stuff, and they're maybe not an individual's breath, but the
like
whole,
you're getting the waft.
yeah, people's bodies and stuff, and like, like sometimes you can hear what people are saying to each other up front and stuff like that. Like it's way different.
Yeah, I just get the waft of the guy that keeps driving past when we play downtown.
Oh yeah, is that the same guy?
I don't know, but it's happened twice now, so I'm assuming it might be, and it's so strong.
Yeah. I think we've probably talked about what we set out to.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, unless you have other things you want to say about it.
No, not really. I'm just not into it.
Well, it's been enlightening. I'm delighted to have you on.
Fantastic.
Thank you all for listening as well. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to visit ko-fi.com/Ocho. That's ko-fi.com/Ocho. You can make a donation in any amount there, and it would help a lot. It will also help give you access to exclusive digital content, including bonus episodes and original music. You can find the website right in the episode description, ko-fi.com/Ocho. Thank you for listening to I Don't Do That. I am Ocho, your host, chief engineer, and producer. I also composed and performed the theme song. Background music in today's episode performed by Tyler Watson. Shout out to CanvasRebel.com for the press and to our sponsor, Anders with Primetime Web. Thanks again to David, today's guest. I don't do that.
Right, yeah, I'm not into it.
Hey, do you have an interesting, heartfelt, or entertaining story about something you don't do? If you'd like to be a guest on I Don't Do That, please visit ochotunes.com/guest to apply to be a guest on our show. And hey, we share our stories to celebrate the diversity of human experience. My name is Ocho, and I'll talk to you again, if I'm lucky.